Hello, everyone. That's my neighbors. I've been away for a week, went away to see, I think it's safe to say, my best friend in the world, and was introduced to this exhibit, the Charles H. Wright Museum, Museum of African American History in Detroit, Michigan. If you're there, go and see their main exhibit is the We Rise. I believe that's what's called, but go see their main exhibit, which uses replicas, human beings, to take you from African village, African capture, African cell, slave dungeon, slave ship, all using replicas. They have a replica of the slave dungeon, and my wife even said she's been to the real one, and she said, "Yeah, this is good. This is good." And then to sell in the United States, on up into civil rights, on up into modern things, all using replicas and sound and voiceovers. And the slave ship with the voiceovers is amazing. The sounds. I feel like I even heard rats in the background. That's how detailed they had the sound. It was amazing. But today I'm going to continue in my autobiography. I just wanted to tell you why I've been away. I'm trying to refresh and trying to deal with the anger and the bitterness that I have for having done all the things I was supposed to do and still ended up with nothing or almost nothing. And I'm figuring out some things to deal with it. I think I'm gonna do a class on him in the museum too, a course. You can find that on my Patreon or my Udemy page. And I need to put more on Udemy. They take courses off when nobody takes them. So I like Patreon because I can leave my courses on there. And you can have them. You can take them. All of my courses are on there. And you really should do that. School is starting back. I don't know why black people still have faith in school systems. I guess some people are getting jobs with degrees. Yes. But for the most part, I'm not sure that especially K through 12. Okay, college, yes, I understand. K through 12, you're still sending your children there? I don't get it, but I'm not a father. So again, there's things I just don't know. I'm gonna continue my autobiography, Thoughts of a Mental Refugee or Mental Refugee. And I think last I left off, we talk about the projects and the violence. Now, how crack was destroying everything. One of the things I think that we really don't give enough value to and credit to is the 5%ers. And I remember as a young man, teenager, preteen teenager, listening to the 5%ers talk about black man is God and his female was the earth and the moon, sun, and stars and arm, leg, arm, head, 5-pointed stars, things like that. And I was fascinated by this stuff, very much drawn to it. I also remember them chasing me away because I would ask questions. I think I know the 5% has a building which Mayor Lindsay gave them. One of my elders always tells me about how Mayor Lindsay gave the 5%ers their own building in Manhattan. But they never built on their knowledge. They never built any institutions. And what I mean by, I would ask, if this man is the devil, if they are part of the 85%, because the 5% believe that they were the 5% who knew, then there's 10% who knew but didn't have the wisdom to I guess, expand themselves into that consciousness. What the 10% would use their knowledge to kind of rule over the other 85 for personal gains or whatever it was. And then there was 85% who was deaf, dumb, and blind. And I think that's pretty much accurate. I was going to start a publication called the 1% Nation because it's not 5% anymore. I would safe to say there's maybe 1% of us that are conscious. In the United States, that's 3 million people, 4 million people maybe. But still a lot of people in raw numbers, but so anyway, I would listen to them and I would say, if this man is the devil, or these men are part of the 85%, they're deaf, dumb, and blind, why do you send your children to their schools? Why don't you guys homeschool your children? And I don't know if I called it homeschool, but why don't you set up the lessons the same way you would set up the lessons on the corner? And then they would chase me off all the time, and I would run off. But they would always let me come back later. And it took me to become an adult and start thinking about my life, how hellish it was, but how I got through it, and my appreciation for, I guess my appreciation for the people who got me through that, although these days I'm not sure if it was worth it, but they still did their part. And so I was thinking about it, and I said, really what the 5%ers were about on the corner there was a self-esteem project. The world told black men we were nothing, still does. I'm looked at in the craziest ways on the street, you should see. Well, part of it is I wear a mask, but the other part of it is just being a black man, they're looking at you like we're subhuman. And make no mistake about it, racist whites think that we're 3/5 human. Liberal whites think that you're 4/5 human. And black people treat each other like 2/5 human. So that's the world we're living in. That's the world, that's the society, that's the structure we're functioning in. So, but in that, and what the 5%ers were doing back then, in the 1980s, the world was telling us we were nothing. Remember what Clinton called us? Super predators? Animals. The 5%ers were telling us we were gods. So if you have the society you're in all the time telling you you're down here, and these brothers on the corner with this knowledge, which some of it you can even research, was telling you you're God. So you have that. Then at the end of the day, maybe you can function somewhere in the middle, because one is bringing you down, one is lifting you up, and that to me may be the greatest thing about the 5%. Sure, the diet was great, which is pretty much a vegetarian diet. No, it wasn't a vegetarian diet. I think they ate fish. So, but fruits, vegetables, fish, no pork. But of course, the Nation of Islam didn't eat pork either. So, and they're an outshoot of the Nation of Islam. So, and they would look at the ingredients of things, and if it had pork products in it, like in toothpaste and potato chips and things like that. Not that they really ate junk that much, because there was always some kind of pork in it. So all of that was good, but I think the real value of the 5%ers, and what I'm gonna say, what I appreciated about them is, a world was making me feel like nothing, and they were the ones around me, the only ones around me, making me feel like more than that. And they were making us try to feel like gods. But I never had an ego enough to say I'm God. But the lifting effect is what I'll always be appreciative to the 5%ers for. And maybe we need them again. An elder tells me they were all locked up. A lot of drug dealing and things like that to make ends meet. But we'll see, man. I there's a lot of throwback things now, so maybe you might see some 5%ers on the corner. I know they're online, but maybe you might see them and listen to them, you know. But yeah, it's the value of the 5%ers. I'll talk some more about more things growing up in the 1970s, 1980s. I have to brainstorm what I'm going to talk about next. There's so much. There's so much. Until next time, please try to be safe and take care of yourself.